see what this is going to be all about. And welcome to our online worshipers as well this morning. A few announcements. Next Sunday we'll be observing the Healing Circle as part of our service. Festival. T-shirts. There's a sign-up sheet if you'd like to wear one of the Alfred Parish Church T-shirts, and they're asking if you could have your monies, either a check to ABC or cash, to give, well, put it in the plate, we'll get it to Lisa. So if we'd like to encourage everyone to wear their shirts on Alfred Festival Day. And Kathleen Mulvey, who's actually the chair of the entire festival for the day. She wears many hats. She has flyers about the events happening during festival weekend. So if you'd like one to take to hang up at a place of work or a business or whatever, please see Kathleen and you can get one from her. Penny raffle items, Eric's still collecting for that, so if you have anything that would be, worthy of the penny raffle, you can bring that in, give it to him. Yeah, that's all I have this morning. Anyone else have anything they'd like to? Yeah, Armin. Swiss chard from Almond's Garden next door. Help yourself, and also go over and help yourself with some Oreo cookies that Skip has brought in for fellowship time. And I'm going to turn it over to Megan now.
Good morning. Before we begin this morning, I just wanted to say a few words about what Holy Humor Sunday is and why we might celebrate it. So it's actually a really old tradition going way, way back, about 1,000 years. The Sunday after Easter was observed by the faithful as a day of joy and laughter, with parties and shenanigans to celebrate Jesus' resurrection. The custom was called Bright Sunday, or it has a Latin name as well, Risus Piscalis, or the Easter laugh. And it came from the idea that God played a joke on the devil by raising Jesus from the dead. So God had the last laugh. So on that Sunday, parishioners and pastors would play practical jokes on each other, sing, dance, and just all around have a good time. Now, unfortunately, something went wrong, who knows what, and things got a bit out of hand. And so in the 15th century, the Pope at the time put the old kibosh on the tradition. Some people just don't know how to have a good time, I guess. But in the last century, the tradition has come back in a modern way that we are calling Holy Humor Sunday. This is Alfred Parish's first Holy Humor Sunday, or at least first in a long time. But I hope that it's not our last. In fact, if there is anything that I could offer to the fabric of our church's legacy, I would be okay if it is the tradition of Holy Humor Sunday, because what a joy it is to laugh together. So also feel free to give feedback on how this Sunday goes and think of ideas that we can make next Bright Sunday even better and more bright, I guess. So with that, we will relax and celebrate together, listening to Eric's prelude. So normally we would go into our call to worship, but we're going to pause this morning for some yoga, some laughter yoga that we'll do together just to get our bodies warmed up together. So I want to invite you to join in with me, and I'm going to guide. What we'll do is we'll do 3 quick things. I'll demonstrate first, and then we'll go through 2 times together. You can do it standing or sitting, as ever you are able and is more comfortable. If you are able to stand, you will breathe a little more deeply. But whatever position is best for you, let's now get into it. Thanks for checking out. She'll be fine. Okay, so in whatever position is best, we're going to take a deep breath in. And as you do, raise your arms up as if you are gathering the air. And now turn your hands over and breathe out, ho, ho, ho. So we'll try that twice. Ready? Breathe in. Ho, ho, ho. Got the half. So now, holding your arms in front at chest level, take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, go back and forth with a ha, ha, ha. Ready? Ha, ha, ha. In and ha, ha, ha. One more time. In. Ha, ha, ha. Perfect. Okay, last one. So put your hands on your shoulders, breathe in, and as we breathe out, go hee, hee, hee. Breathe in. And out. Hee, hee, hee. One more breath. And hee, hee, hee. Perfect. We did it. Now, if whatever else doesn't work out, you can be yoga instructors. But please join me in our call to worship. We gather to worship the God of laughter. Who hides the extraordinary promise of new life in an ordinary loaf of bread. Like a trickster, God turns our sad and serious world topsy-turvy. A dead-looking cocoon breaks open and a beautiful butterfly appears. As we gather to worship, may our praise break forth in the most unlikely of places and in the silliest ways. May joy fill our hearts with song and laughter as we worship our laughing God. We talk about keeping Christmas in our hearts all year, but part of the idea of this Sunday is to be about it. So we're going to relight the Christ candle now. As we celebrate that the light of Christ, which came into our world long ago, continues to shine today, not only in this candle, but in the lives of each one of us and all who strive to live in the peace, the hope, the love, and the joy that he offers. Please pray with me. God of all, we come into your presence with joy, longing to Jesus Christ. We thank you that you have given to us the gift of laughter and delight. riches and food and honey for eternity. The next day, a $100 bill dies. He also rises to heaven, but there doesn't appear to be anyone there. He pushed open the gate by himself, and behind it is nobody but one little angel playing on his cell phone. The $100 bill asks for his cloud, but is given a little filthy gray rain cloud. As he tries to make himself comfortable and doesn't succeed, he sees the quarter on his right playing with all the angels as his enormous white cloud. Upset, he goes to God to complain. Why does the quarter get the best cloud while I get this stormy trash? I'm more valuable, right? Asks the $100 bill. And God responds, yeah, but we didn't see that much in church. May we give as generously as we are able, but knowing with faith that God's great kingdom has been built with mostly little bits. This morning's offering will now be received. Would you guys like to take the offering this morning? We'll say the Lord's Prayer, and then we're going to move into our Alfred Parish Church open mic time. So anybody who has brought a joke to share, or just thinks of one now, or I have a couple extras if anybody wants one. But first, let's join together in a spirit of prayer. Holy One, we celebrate that whenever your people are gathered together in love, you are present with us and life is full. We celebrate that your spirit beat in the heart of Jesus the Christ, and that through him the good news of your healing, embracing, and liberating love was heard by the broken, the lonely, and all those bound by life's sorrows and struggles. So aware of the hurts and longings all of us carry, the awe and wonder that is around us, and the gifts of faith that is ours, we pause and we become ever aware of the sacredness of our lives and in the lives of others. We pray for each struggle of the world and in each one, saying together the words you taught us. Our Father,
who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
now, would anybody be willing to share a joke? Oh, let me say how we'll do this. So if you're able to come up to the mic, great. And when there's a pause, we'll ask if there's anybody else who would prefer the mic come to them, and we'll do that. Or, you know what, we don't even need to do that. If you want to just raise your hand, I'll know that means I want to share a joke, but I don't want to walk up there.
I was going to say the joke's on me this morning because I'm also reading. But I can't wait, right? Everybody watches Hallmark, don't they? All those sappy love stories. Well, they're flooding the channel. Eric, I think you've been playing some classical music. Am I correct? When I learned to play the piano, we had a piece that was very similar to that, and it went like this. Papa Hagen's dead and gone, but his memory lingers on. When his mood was full of bliss, he wrote jolly tunes like this. Am I right? That was Haydn. So anyway, not really jokes, but just a little humor. And I think Santa should be with us all year round.
This is not my original joke. This is Pastor Mabel that we share this with you. In Jerusalem, a journalist heard about a very old Jewish man who had been going to the Wailing Wall to pray twice a day, every day, for a long, long time. The journalist went to the Wailing Wall, and there he was. She watched him pray, and after about 45 minutes, when he turned to leave, she approached him for an interview. "Sir, how long have you been coming to the wall and praying?" "For about 50 years, said the old man. 50 years? That's amazing. What do you pray for?" "Well, I pray for peace. I pray for all the hatred to stop. And I pray for all our children to grow up wise in safety and friendship." "How do you feel after doing this for 50 years, she asked. "Like I'm talking to a wall."
Yeah, Betsy.
I'm not usually good at telling jokes. My husband was always the joke, the one that told jokes. But this is a pretty short one, and this is one of his classics. So, do you want to see my duck imitation? Sure. Yes.
There was a woman named Jenny. She was 67, not young, but not really old, and she was on her way to visit her best friend because she had an important question. When she got to her big friend's house, and they were inside having tea, she said, "You went on a date with Paul. came to get me. We went to this wonderful restaurant. More food that I could eat all week. When we were on our way back, Bob said to me, "Do you mind if we stop at my place before I take you home?" And I said, "Okay." And they stopped at his house, and as soon as they got in the door, Bob's demeanor changed. He ravaged her, tore her new dress to shreds, then took her home. And Jenny said, "How did that make you feel?" "Oh," she said, "wonderful." So then Jenny said, "Well, do you have any advice for me?" And our friend said, "Yeah, wear a wool dress."
I have what's a humor one, and then I have a joke by God, okay? And the humor one that I have told many times, and it's my favorite, is of this kid that comes home from Sunday school, and his parents ask him what he learned in Sunday school. And he says, "Well, I learned that God freed the Israelites and took them out of Egypt." And he says they got to the Red Sea, and all of a sudden they had to cross this water, so they got their steam shovels and they got their bulldozers and they got their trucks and they dug their way through and they made a tunnel, and when the Egyptians came through, well, it collapsed on them. And his parents says, "Well, is that really the way you heard it?" And he says, "If you heard it the way I heard it, you wouldn't believe it." And so he reached an age where he needed a little higher level story on that one, I think. The other is a personal one. When I was about 18 or 19, my brother and I were talking about going into the Peace Corps. And where would you like to go? So we were exploring all these options. And I said, "Well, I don't really know much about Africa, so I don't want to go to Africa. So let's go to South America or someplace." So a year or so after that, I find myself in the military with my first assignment, currently living in North Africa. And so that's God's sense of humor to me. Don't mess with God.
Going to talk about which one? That one? Okay, go ahead. Loud as you can.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Interesting cat.
Interrupt.
One day in heaven, Jesus realized he hadn't seen his father Joseph in a few centuries, which in heaven, of course, is not a very long time. He saw St. Peter and asked, "Hey Pete, have you seen my father?" Peter asked, "You mean God?" "No, no," laughed Jesus. "I see God all the time. My earthly dad, Joseph." "Sure," said Peter. "He likes to sit under a tree in the heavenly park." So Jesus strolled down the park, and from a distance he saw an old man under a tree, carving a piece of wood. He approached the man from behind and said, "You're very handy with wood. Back on earth, were you a carpenter?" The old man said, "Why, yes, I was an excellent carpenter." Jesus said, "And did you have any children?" "Yes," replied the old man, "I had one son. But I must admit, I wasn't exactly his father. You see, he wasn't conceived in the usual manner. He was born by magic." Excitedly, Jesus exclaimed, "Papa, it's me, your son." The old man shouted, "Pinocchio!"
I looked up some dad jokes because I love those. What did one hat say to the other? "I'll stay here, you go on ahead." Why don't we see elephants hiding in trees? Because they're really good at it. And what do you call a sad depressed out.
You see it as a restaurant, and with all of the people, and guys, and they really see bad news. The news is, there's not that bad news in the cheese system.
Okay, so there's this moth. And the moth one day walks into a podiatrist's office. The podiatrist looks at the moth kind of curiously and says, "Well, what can I help you with?" The moth says, "Well, things just aren't going well for me. You know, I just lost my job at the local clothes store, and my truck is no longer working, and geez, my pet fly just ran off on me. I don't know, everything's just falling apart." And the podiatrist said, "Oh, I'm so sorry to hear this, but it sounds like you need a psychologist. Why are you here this evening?" "Oh, well, the light was on."
Okay. Again, this is one that Mabel had passed on because I didn't have it with my own. It was Sunday, and the preacher was just finishing an inspiring church service when Rick, the wealthiest man in town, stood up and asked to address the congregation. The preacher wasn't surprised at this. "Just make it quick, Rick," he sighed. "Sure, Father," said Rick. He cleared his throat to address the audience. "I can still recall the day I earned my first dollar," he began. "That same evening, I attended a church meeting where the speaker talked about his humanitarian efforts at the moment. I only had the single dollar to my name, and I had to make a tough decision. Give it to the speaker's cause or keep it to myself. I chose to donate it all. I truly believe that God blessed the decision, which is why I'm a millionaire today," he finished, a gleam of tear in his eye. "Oh yeah?" said an old woman in the audience, standing up. "I dare you to do it again."
Jonah has a joke as well. Are you ready? Okay. Ready? Here you go. As loud as you can. What do you call a pig who does karate?
Point chef.
A pork chop. Does anyone else have any jokes they'd like to share this morning? Well, with that, we'll keep it moving. And a thank you. Thank you, everyone, for sharing your joy and your laughter.
Today's scripture comes from Proverbs, chapter 15, verse 13 through 21, and it's a version from the Common English Bible. "A joyful heart brightens one's face, but a troubled heart breaks the spirit. An understanding heart seeks knowledge, but fools feed on folly. All the days of the needy are hard, but a happy heart has a continual feast. Better a little with fear of the Lord than a great treasure a meal of greens with love than a plump calf with hate. Hotheads stir up conflict, but patient people calm down strife. The path of the lazy is like a hedge of thorns, but the way of those who do right is a clear road. A wise child brings joy to a father, but fools despise their mothers. Folly is joy to those who lack sense, but those with understanding walk straight ahead. Thus ends the reading.
So this past week, I was out in Washington State at Joint Base Lewis McChord in the Tacoma area for the Air National Guard to learn some skills to offer military service members and their families. And I went with 2 other chaplains from Maine. The days were long, but we did have a little bit of time for fun too. So one day we went hiking, and one of the chaplains told me this joke. One more joke. A priest, a rabbi, and a minister decide to see who's best at his job. So they each go into the woods, find a bear, and attempt to convert it. Later, they get together. The priest begins. When I found the bear, I read to him from the catechism and sprinkled him with holy water, and next week is his first communion. I found a bear by the stream, says the minister. I preached God's holy word, and the bear was so mesmerized that he let me baptize him. They both looked down at the rabbi, who is wrapped almost head to toe in a body cast. Looking back, the rabbi sighs, maybe I shouldn't have started with circumcision. Now for some context, the reason that joke was on her mind as we walked through the forest, which was beautiful, those giant trees and big ferns, was that the forest also, apparently, was full of bears. And we kept seeing these warning signs, and while we didn't think it was so dangerous that we needed to turn back, it did make us a little nervous, just a little bit. But laughing helped us calm. Joking and laughing connected us to peace and enabled us to move forward. In doing research and resource combing to prepare for this Sunday, I read a story of a little church in Alaska that was struggling. There was deep animosity and division. The congregation was breaking itself into factions and cliques, and the pastor tried everything. Almost at a loss, he thought, we need to laugh. And he organized a Holy Humor Sunday. And guess what happened? The people laughed together. That little bit of restoration began and changed the church's course. People who said they'd been considering leaving decided to stay. So joking and laughing can be healing. Indeed, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for someone rich to enter the kingdom of God. And why do you look at the splinter in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the log in your own? These are the words of Jesus, and they are funny. Imagine someone with a giant log stuck in their face telling someone else that they should really be more careful because there's a very visible speck. I mean, that's comedy. So joking and laughing can be wisdom. I've been so excited about having a Holy Humor Sunday because I believe laughter can be all these things. It can be peace. It can be healing. It can be wisdom. It can invite us to remember our humanity. Because we are only human. Only deeply beloved creations of our eternal Creator, who in addition to omniscience and omnipotence, seems to have a pretty well-developed sense of humor. We worship a God who laughs with us. through all our folly and ridiculousness, a God who knows that ultimately all will be okay. A God we know has the last laugh. Amen. Our last hymn this morning will be a familiar Christmas carol, the tune of which is 131 in our hymnals. It came upon a midnight clear, but we're going to do the lyrics that are inserted in your bulletin to make it. It came upon a sunrise bright. When you made people smile, you made